As the mayor of the town of Clayton, I'd like to call this town council, regular meeting of the Clayton Town Council to order. I ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks for the many blessings of this day, and we ask, Lord, now that you be with us as we proceed with the business for the town of Clayton. For it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, sir. Under item 4B, we'd like to add a budget book update from Todd Mellon, our budget manager.
All right. Any others? Hearing no more, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with that change.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Up next is your consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Up next under administrative items is the Clayton for You.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Tonight we bring you another episode of Clayton for You. Tonight's episode is about all of the resources that our library has for our students going back to school.
In this episode of Clayton for You, we're celebrating National Library Card Sign-Up Month and showcasing how Hoka Ellington Memorial Library can support students of all ages with resources, programs, and services for back-to-school success.
Elementary students can build confidence with Wonderbooks, audiobooks that let them listen and read along. Launchpads provide games and apps that boost early skills in problem solving, reading, and science, all without needing internet access. And another powerful tool for young learners is Active Reader Kits. They have themed books with games and activities that build reading skills, spark curiosity, and encourage hands-on exploration. As kids move into middle school, they can use free Wi-Fi and quiet study spaces. They also have access to online research databases, educational videos, and language learning tools. When students reach high school, they can access the Library of Things, which includes photography and recording equipment. These tools are perfect for creative projects, presentations, and learning new skills. They can access college prep tools, first-time job help, and advanced research materials as well. Regardless of your child's age, library staff are always ready to recommend books or gather materials to help with school projects.
All of these resources are free with a library card. Visit ClaytonLibraryNC.org to get yours this school year.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nathaniel. Up next will be the budget book update.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Thanks for the time this evening. I'm going to open a web browser here. I just want to start out by saying thanks for your support, your feedback through the budget development process. Tonight, I'd rather concentrate a little bit more on the budget book process, which I also appreciate your guidance and feedback on for the past few months. We adopted the budget back in June. Since then, our team, including the budget office and all the departments, have had feedback on this. We've worked with asked a lot of people for copy editing. We've had communications have been great in helping us get it up on the website. And so it's been really truly a team effort. My team right now, I have two folks in addition to me on my team, which has been great. We have Jessica Watkins, who is here tonight. attending council. She's been interning with us since May. Jessica put in a whole lot of work on this thing. It's been really a lot of work with her. I don't know how I would have done it otherwise. Lainey Taylor, who is our UNC School of Government lead for North Carolina fellow, also who's not here tonight because she is in class, because they're both MPA students, has also been a really big help on this. So when I first got this job and started working, Rich and I, one of the first conversations we had was that we wanted to improve the budget book document. So in years past, it's been a PDF. It's been a great PDF. It's been informative. It's been the last fiscal year 25, I think it was 102 pages on a PDF. But it's a PDF, right? It's not interactive, especially. It's not, it's just a flat document. One of the things we wanted to do with the budget book is to make it more interactive, get it out on a website where people can go and look at it anytime they want. They also have the opportunity to print to a PDF or print it out on paper if you want to print 234 pages this year. But most importantly, it's a really good tool. There's a lot of information in there that we might not have previously provided as far as defining some terms, explaining what a fund is, explaining our debt capacity and what our debt looks like for the town, that sort of thing. So I'm going to get into more of that in a minute. So the reason I think this matters is that it's most certainly increasing transparency, and that's been a goal from day one. They can see the same information. You're all going to have the same access to it. You're going to have a link that you can click from this website that you can go and look at departments, look at department finances, look at all of our revenue sources, all the different things that the book provides, so that the folks out there and the public have the same viewing rights as you do at this point, which I think is really important. It's accessible. There are several ways to view it. You can print it out on paper if you want. It's about that thick. You can look at it on your mobile. You can do tablets, desktop, laptop, whatever you choose. Performance. It's, again, there are a bunch of different ways you can use it. I was using it on my phone on the way over here. That's a lot of information to look on a screen this big, but if you want to do it that way, you're free to do that. So I'm just going to drive the website here just so people can see exactly how easy it is to get to. Again, I want to thank the communications department for helping us get this up here in the last couple of days. You're going to point to government, the far right bottom link, fiscal year 26 Town of Clayton budget. Click that. So this is what used to be the budget engagement page. There's a little more on it now, so they've renamed it. So one of the things you'll see right away, besides the link that we're going to click in a second here, is a budget in brief. It was a document, but it's been pasted right into the web here so we can see. This is a really high level view of everything that's included in the budget book. So you can see, if you want to look at revenues, you can see right away property tax is 40% of our revenues in this year's budget. Sales tax, all the different types of revenue sources. There's a cute little graph here. Expenditures, if you want to see the kind, like the functions and the functions and what the proportion of the budget that those functions are. So public safety, which is police and fire, 23% of total expenses. Public works is right behind them with 21. This makes the most sense because these are the departments that have the most employees, first of all, and they buy the most expensive equipment and do the most expensive capital projects, right? So not to get too far into that, you can review that. That's called the budget in brief. But what we're here to discuss tonight is this little thing right here. You can click this budget book document or the link, and it'll take you to a website that is fully interactive and will show you everything that we've put into the budget for this year. So my favorite thing about this is that no matter where you are in the budget book, you always have your clickable, this is your table of contents or your chapter selectors here. So no matter where you are, if you want to jump from basis of budgeting all the way down to debt service, you can do that without having to go back to the table of contents, look up the page number and scroll to it, right? So I'm going to try to quickly do this, but point out what I feel are the most informative I don't want to say the most important parts. They're all equally important here, but just the portions that I think are probably the most useful to the casual user of the book. So right off the bat, here's how to use this document. This just defines each of the sections. All these underlined pieces here match the table of contents. Give you a little bit more information about what each one of them will provide. Here's the budget in brief. That was on our website as well, so it's embedded into the budget book document as well. Oh, before I move on, up here at the top, you have contents here, you have a PDF, and you have a share button. PDF, if you want to print this to a PDF, you can do that here. The way you'll do that is you have an option to select the whole thing, or you can select sections of it to have printed. Then you'll just enter your email address here, create a PDF, and then ClearGov will generate that PDF and email you a link. If you do the whole thing, it'll be about 10 minutes because it's a pretty big PDF. Just wanted to point that out. And so a couple ways you can browse the book. You can click through the whole thing if you want to come down here to these little thumbnail previews and just click the blue arrow. So next you'll see this is our introduction cover sheet. And so just jumping into the introduction section, there's a section on the strategic plan, letter from the mayor, some collage, some picture collages there. And then we tried to define what a strategic plan is generally, what are our components to our strategic plan, how we developed it, the whole kind of process, where we landed with our focus areas. These are our 7 main focus areas in the strategic plan. And then information on what the departments do with this strategic plan. So we have, within the department pages that we'll get to in a second, departments have identified goals, departmental goals, that align with one of these 7 focus areas in the strategic plan. So that's how the departments are using it. Budget alignment, just a little bit about that here. We have some specific items in the budget that align with the focus areas and strategic plan. I'll point those out in a second. We just want to make a note. Starting next year, we're hoping to sort of hardwire the entire budget through the strategic plan. That's our next step in integrating the 2 of those very important documents. So I'll just do one of these. Let's do sustainable infrastructure. We have a page for each of the 7 focus areas. Each of them have a picture here with usually a stat or 2 here about, this one's about Sam's Branch, treating up to $6 million gallons wastewater a day. We have the longer descriptor of what this focus area is. This is sustainable infrastructure, right? And then we have 3 to 5 strategies for each of these focus areas that will explain in one level down in detail how we're going to hopefully achieve some of these focus areas. And then down here, my favorite part is we'll show you some of the specific items in the budget that are aligned with this focus area. So sustainable infrastructure's got a pretty good chunk of change invested in the budget is invested in this focus area pretty well. So I'll just skip over the other ones. You can do all these look sort of the same. They have the same features. Still in the intro section, here's some information on the elected officials. Here's some information on the executive team. And then we'll jump to organizational structure. This is one of my favorite pages. We get asked a lot, I get asked a lot, which department falls under which deputy manager or which director or something like that. So this sort of explains, it doesn't explain the individual positions within these departments, but it shows which departments report to which manager. So all these blue, so we got Town of Clayton here, Town Council here, and then we get down to Town Manager and the 3 deputy managers. They're in the blue boxes here. So you can see Chief of Staff and Strategic Initiatives. All these functions are overseen by that position. And there's just a general FTE count for each of these. And these are departments, generally speaking, these little gray boxes are departments. So I think that's something that's not really evident to the casual observer of the town's operation. So hopefully that's informational. Clicking over into budget frame, I'm not going to go through every one of these, so don't worry. I'm going to get through the parts that I feel are very important, and then leave the rest of the browsing to you all. So budget framework, just some information about the budget process. Up here I described, we've talked before, I've talked with you all before about base budgeting, how we did the base budget this year. Little information on that. Budget calendar, you can see where we were at any point between January 8th and June 16th when we adopted. Basis of budgeting, this is a little bit in the weeds, but it's some information on accounting methodology that we use in the general fund versus the enterprise funds. Financial policies, these are adopted policies for the town of Clayton. You can read that if you're interested. This is another important section to me. In what ways do we bring in money to the town? Everybody knows about property tax. Probably most people know about sales tax. But this page here will define every single revenue source that we have. Intergovernmental revenues, which includes the biggest portion of that, maybe all of it, is Claytex Fire District. Little information on that. And the largest proportion of our total revenues are given, there's a 10-year history budgeted and actuals for each of those funding sources. So that's all for general fund. General fund's all the way down here. Then we have water sewer fund. Kind of did some different charts for them, but it's kind of it's the same thing, right? Water sewer has sales and services and permits and fees, and then other. Same for electric fund. So all these are, and you can point at the different points, and it'll give you the exact figures there. Okay, moving on. Changes in personnel. As you all know, maybe the town folks out in the town know, we did a structural reorganization this year, eliminating some departments, creating some other departments, shifting things around to get a better accurate count of what it costs to provide certain services like human resources, the operations department, things like that. So that's all kind of described here. And then this table will show departmental FTE for the last the last two actual years in the 26 budgeted year. So you'll see that there's some kind of wonky looking things here in a few places, and most of that, all of that is attributed to the reorg. So general government had 15 FTE last year. They've got 7. We've got 7 this year. It's because we moved HR out and created its own department, right? So it's not, we didn't eliminate positions necessarily. We just shifted some things around. And this far right column will show you how many positions were added in the fiscal 26 budget year. So you see there all the positions we added. There's engineering, public works, water, sewer, and electric. 7 total positions. We have 350 budgeted positions this year. All right, moving on. Fund summary. I thought this was important because, I don't know how many people out there, I wouldn't know if I didn't work in this, if I didn't spend a whole lot of time in this line of work, what a fund was, why we have different funds, and that sort of thing. So we kind of defined fund here. It provided also, you'll see some links from here from time to time. Most of them are pointing toward NC general statutes that govern the way we have to budget. I think this 159.13 is, it says we have to, it's the big one. It's one of the big ones. It says we have to adopt a balanced budget in appropriated funds. So we're talking about the general fund there. When you get too far in the weeds, this starts to get really boring. So anyway, there's that, defining what a fund is, defining why we have different funds. In our case, the operational funds, the funds that are adopted every year for a budget are the general fund, the water sewer fund, and the electric fund. We also have capital project funds, and I've explained in here that capital project funds aren't required. We're not required to adopt a budget for those every year because they usually last several years, and we adopt those individually. So all that information is in here. Then a little information on each individual fund, that some more general statute stuff here, explaining very generally what these funds do, and a high overview expense budget bar graph for the last 3 years. And then I'll just click into one of these, but each of the funds has more detailed finances in this section here. Up here, we kind of describe the difference between last year and this year in the general fund budget, why that's the case. We talk about salaries, increase COLA and merit, some of the stuff that we budgeted for capital projects or capital land purchases within the operating fund, kind of talk about that. And then I'll just quickly, like, this is budgeted to actual revenues and expenses over the last 3 years for the general fund. This is all of general fund. Sort of a schedule that shows the whole general fund as far as revenue sources and expense categories go over the last few years. Then we talk about revenues by department. So we'll look at the revenue contribution for each department. It's kind of interactive. You can point at it and it'll give you a number. You can point here if you want to see public works. You just point at it. It kind of highlights it up there. Revenues by revenue source. You can see ad valorem, state share, state sales tax, so on and so forth. Revenues by revenue source for the current year. That was the last 3 years above. And then we do the same thing for expenditures, sort of the same categories, slicing the information in a bunch of different ways. Now, in the general fund at the bottom, we have some information on fund balance. Robert always provides you with updated fund balance from time to time. We have that schedule here that came straight from his financial reports. And then we tried to define the different categories of fund balance here. And I mean, I'm sure not many people know this. I didn't know it before I got it from Robert. So, fund summary. Okay. Then we'll go through department summaries and then I'll kind of pause and maybe wrap up, see if you have any questions. So department summary, I feel like this is an important section as well because the intro to departments defines what a department is, defines what a division is, and defines what a GL account is. So in budget, we sort of have 4 levels of detail for every dollar that we have in the operating budget. We have what fund is it in, what department within that fund, what division within that department, and then what specific account. So this sort of tries to define all those things to make a little more sense out of it. And then I have just a little org chart here that explains just what I said. There's fund at the top. That's the most general collection of funds, department, division, and account. Just a note, and this is noted in the text above, department level is where we adopt our budget. So and we've linked to the budget ordinance several times in the budget book. You click that thing, it'll say communications, so much, planning, so much, right? So we adopt it at the department level. We track it at a much lower level than that, a much more detailed level than that, because it's a lot more difficult to manage. It's easier to manage when you have more details about it. So within departments, we have several divisions, and within divisions, we have a bunch of accounts. Accounts are things like salaries, cap outlay, repair and maintenance, things like that. Then we have a page for every department. So I'm just going to jump into, let's say, engineering here. It's a paragraph that explains what the engineering department does. Come down here just below, it'll tell you how many positions we have. In this case, we have budgeted 15 positions for engineering this year across 3 divisions. Next paragraph will sort of define kind of what those divisions are within the context of that department that it's in. And then here's an org chart for engineering. So you see the engineering director here, assistant director here, a couple more managers, and then rounding out the staff here. And this should add up to 15. So we have, and this is the same for every single department page, right? So I'm not going to go through all 20 some pages. But you feel free to do that. So then we have some expenditure and revenue data, just like we did sort of the fund data. In some of these, we won't see data in years past because of prior reorgs. Engineering used to exist under another department. And so this is what their finances have looked like since they've been a standalone department. Right? Expenditures by type, revenues across departments. So there's revenues over the last years. Revenues by revenue source. Engineering gets all their revenues from permits and fees. There was one exception of $2,000 2 years ago, but mostly permits and fees. And down here, as I mentioned before, departmental goals. So you can see the departmental goals for any department that you want, finances for any department that you want, org charts for any department that you want, definition of the division of the budget structure for any department. We've been talking for a long time. Anybody have any questions or comments or concerns? I'll take about 2 more minutes after that and we'll call it. Nothing? Okay. Really quickly, there's a lot of information about the CIP, both the general fund and the enterprise fund CIPs. I figured this is probably pretty interesting, relevant information for folks to be looking at. We have linked to the comprehensive growth plan up here, talk about the capital budgeting process, about the scoring process that we do with you folks and with the town. Capital revenue and expenditure basis for estimates here. We've just kind of described how our teams go about estimating costs for projects. Here's a timeline starting in early November through April. And then we define what thresholds for capital projects and things like that. So when we're looking at the finances, this is the 1-year plan. This includes everything that we had planned to do in fiscal year 26. Here's a multi-year plan that spreads it out over 5 years, 6 years. This is all broken down by funding source here and then cost categories here. Just a little bit of information about project types. We have 4 main categories for project types. These are here, and it breaks it down by the cost. Breaks the cost down by those types. And then again by departments. Information about the enterprise fund CIPs. CIP prioritization process is quite a bit different than the general fund prioritization process. And this is defined and explained here. Couple of tables for enterprise fund CIP projects. And then here is where we can get into sort of the more detailed explanations of the different projects that we have. So these are broken down into those 4 categories again, but then you have project titles in here that you can click and look at more details. So clicking through, there's Fire Station 1, there's a little map, there's a description, a rendering of the work planned to be done, estimates for cost, all that sort of thing. So you can look at that for all of the projects that have been prioritized by our CIP. So I can't remember exactly how many of them there are at this point, 15 including lab funded projects. All those projects are in here. You can click through and look at more details on those. One more thing, debt services. Debt service breaks down the debt that we have across the town. There's a little information about debt, the general statute that governs how much debt we can take out. A little information about bond rating and why that's important. And then we can look at all the debt by type. This is the total for the entire town, debt service for this year, and then by fund, right? So then you can see there's the general fund payment schedule through 2041. Same with water sewer, same with electric. So water sewer, you can see it went way up this year. I think we talked about that before, but you can see that in graphical form here. Finally, the appendix has some useful stuff in it. One of the things is a glossary. So one of the things that we mentioned at the beginning of the book, if there's a term that has bold type and it's not immediately defined on that page, then it's defined here in the glossary. So we have things like capital assets, chargebacks, department, division, things like that we've referenced in the body of the book that may not be, that folks may need more help defining. I'll stop now. Anybody have anything they would like to ask?
I don't have anything I'd like to ask. I'd just like to thank you and your department for this incomprehensible amount of work that you've done. We've seen it printed and put together, and it's quite amazing. And our goal has been to continue to be as transparent as we can be. And this has really broken it down in a way that if there's anything you want to know, you should be able to go to this and really dig into it and understand it. And I really applaud you and your department because this represents a lot of work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. This is truly a nerd's dream. So I really couldn't be happier right now. I know we've seen pieces of this throughout the last, it seems like forever. So it's really cool to see it all put together.
5 months.
Yeah.
I just want to say that.
And I just wanted to call out, I especially like the explanation of the different funds that you guys put together, because there is so much confusion out there, especially about those enterprise funds. So having all that information for residents to process and kind of understand where those rates come from and how all of that money is separate in each of those funds is important. So thank you.
Thank you.
I echo that what everybody just said, and really appreciate all you guys' hard work. I just want to get two things on the record again, just more or less a repeat, and just because of the climate of where we are today. So how long have you guys been working on this?
We've been working on it since right before we adopted. So we really hit the ground. We really got in on it when Jessica came on board. That was in May. And so one of her, we talked about when she first came on, she had 3 main goals. This was goal number 1. And the other 2 were performance data and budget calendar. And I think we've, now that this is up, I think we've achieved all 3 of those. But yeah, since May, we've been
working on this since May. This has already been something in the process. Outstanding. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what would be your definition of the main reason why council, our town manager, staff, why do we want this done?
We went with ClearGov budgeting platform for some other reasons in making our budgeting process a little more streamlined and efficient, and they had this product. So we got a demo from them. We knew that I've seen some really great budget books out there, and what we had was great, but it was time to sort of up the game a little bit and get a little more transparency, a little more interactivity. So I would say that, Rich, I said before, one of the first things Rich and I talked about was creating a better budget book product. We know we're going to publish something every year, so might as well use our resources to provide something that is bigger,
Right.
Certainly bigger, but provides more information. And this is a really good opportunity. We saw the demo. It was kind of a home run for us. So,
More transparency, more information, correct?
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Jessica, will you join Todd at the podium? I know I'm calling you out unexpectedly, but. So on behalf of the town of Clayton and this town council, we want to thank and acknowledge you both for the tremendous amount of work that you have done for the citizens for the town of Clayton, and for getting us on a better footing with how we relay this type of information out to the general public and to our citizens. I think it's extremely well written. I think it's in real everyday language. You don't have to be a finance director to understand.
That was Jessica more than me, the words.
Which I knew.
With words, yeah.
She speaks my language. But it's a really great tool for us to have. And we appreciate all the good work that you have done for us since you've come to the town of Clayton. And we wish you the best. And we do hope that, any time that you can squeeze to come and help us, we would be more than happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Anyone else? My only question is, now that we have this tool, and if someone in the general public is going through this, if they have a question or need clarity, is there a contact us button, or is there a method to be able to tell them who they can contact?
Or maybe a way to email.
We could, yes, we should build that in. We could build that onto the website on the front end, I think. I don't know if there's anything in this tool or not. I will say, this is sort of a tangent here, but there is another product that we're working on through ClearGov called Transparency Module. There's certainly a way to reach out at that. I think my picture's on every page, in fact, and I don't know how to take that off, but because I've looked. No. So it's a tool that takes this and sort of provides more context around demographics around, there's a tool where you can input either your assessed value for your home, and it will calculate how much of your tax bill is going toward engineering and planning and things like that. There's certainly a way to reach out through there. I don't know that there is here yet, but I'm definitely happy to try to provide that in the most appropriate spot, probably on the website before you get into it.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Good point.
Anyone else?
Yep, I was going to say thank you to Todd, thank you to Jessica for all the hard work. This has been a lot of work, not only from them, but all the different department heads, and as well as our communications team helping to get this stood up so that it can be out and available to the website or on the website as of today, I guess, for the public to play with.
It's out there.
So,
Yeah, definitely. No one in any department did not offer some sort of feedback to this product. Everybody in the town that knew anything about their budget contributed to this. So big thanks to everyone involved with that.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Up next will be our introduction and special presentation, and we will begin with the National Finance and Accounting Appreciation Week proclamation. And I'd like to give the floor to Councilmember Anderson.
Well, how appropriate that we're celebrating this, starting this week. The Town of Clayton National Finance and Accounting Appreciation Week proclamation. Whereas the Town of Clayton honors the Finance and Accounting Department professionals as they serve their organization by managing day-to-day accounting operations and balancing the budget, both of which are needed for citizens to have faith and trust in their government. And whereas the Finance and Accounting Department professionals are credentialed professionals who provide financial transparency to citizens through timely publications of financial statements that meet the highest standards of governmental accounting. And whereas the Town of Clayton recognizes the Finance and Accounting Department during this week and honors the vital services they provide to our town and our community. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Clayton Town Council, we hereby proclaim September 22nd through 26th, 2025, Finance and Accounting Appreciation Week, and encourage all citizens to extend their appreciation to all government finance professionals, proclaimed by the Clayton Town Council on the 15th day of September, 2025. Jody L. McLeod, Mayor. You want to join me down front so we can have a picture? I know you're all excited about that, but come get your picture taken.
Awesome. Let's have a nice round of applause for our finance and accounting team. Up next will be our Human Resources Professionals Day proclamation, and I'd like to give the floor to Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, all guests. Town of Clayton Human Resources Professional Day proclamation. Whereas the Town of Clayton honors the Office of Human Resources for the important work that they do to support all town employees. And whereas human resources professionals are integral in driving talent acquisitions, employees relations, organizational development, training and development, compensation and benefits, and ensuring compliance with labor laws and regulations. And whereas the work of human resources professionals impacts the cultural growth and productivity of organizations while also advocating for workplace diversity, equity, and inclusions. And whereas human resources professionals demonstrate exceptional leadership, empathy, and strategic thinking in navigating the challenges of an evolving workplace landscape, making positive impacts on both the individuals they serve and the organization they support. And whereas the Town of Clayton Human Resources professionals serve as leaders, business strategists, problem solvers, talent developers, and advocates while displaying integrity and dedication. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Clayton Town Council, we hereby proclaim September 26, 2025 as Human Resources Professional Day, proclaimed by Clayton Town Council the 15th day of September 2025. Jody McLeod, Mayor.
All right. You want to come down front and get a picture? And let's have a nice round of applause for our human resources professionals. We appreciate the good job they do every day. All right, up next is the National Custodian Day Proclamation, and I'd like to give the floor to Mayor Pro Tem Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town of Clayton National Custodian Day Proclamation. Whereas custodial workers are an essential part of our community, ensuring the cleanliness, safety, and hygiene of our public and private sectors. And whereas custodial workers perform their duties with professionalism and attention to detail, often working behind the scenes to create an environment where others can thrive. Whereas National Custodian Day is an opportunity to honor the hard work, tireless efforts, and vital contributions of custodians who maintain the cleanliness of our buildings, public spaces, and other facilities. Whereas custodial workers help to create and maintain healthy and safe environments by ensuring that spaces are not only clean, but also well-maintained and welcoming for everyone. Whereas we are proud to recognize our custodians and recognize the hard work that it takes to keep our public facilities in tip-top shape, and their diligent work and tireless effort make sure our workplaces are spotless and sanitary. Whereas it is the town of Clayton's commitment that every day a custodian worker is shown appreciation and thanks for all they do for our buildings and facilities. Now, therefore, on behalf of the town of Clayton Town Council, we hereby proclaim October 2nd, National Custodian Day, proclaimed by the Clayton Town Council this 15th day of September, signed Mayor Jody McLeod. If you guys can come on down and we can serve this up.
And a nice round of applause for our custodians. We thank you all for what you do every day also. And our final proclamation this evening is Operation Lifesaver Rail Safety Week Proclamation. Town of Clayton, Operation Lifesaver Rail Safety Week Proclamation. Whereas rail safety education and public awareness are critical to preventing collisions, injuries, and fatalities on and around railroad tracks and trains. And whereas Operation Lifesaver Incorporated, a national nonprofit public safety education and awareness organization, has worked for more than 50 years to reduce rail-related incidences by providing free rail safety education to communities across America. And whereas each year, hundreds of people are killed or injured in preventable railroad crossing and trespassing incidences in the United States, including right here in North Carolina. And whereas Rail Safety Week, coordinated by Operation Lifesaver Incorporated and sponsored by the United States Department of Transportation, state agencies, railroads, and community organizations, aims to raise awareness of the need for caution near rail property and promote life-saving safety practices. And whereas the town of Clayton recognizes the importance of educating residents about safe behavior around railroad crossings and property to protect lives and enhance community safety. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Clayton Town Council, we hereby proclaim the week of September 15th through the 21st, 2025, as Operation Lifesaver Rail Safety Week in the town of Clayton, and encourage all our residents to join in supporting rail safety awareness and to practice safe behavior near trains and tracks, proclaimed by the Clayton Town Council on this 15th day of September, 2025. And now to shed a little more light on this program, I would like to give the floor to Police Chief Greg Tart.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. First of all, I want to say thank you for the proclamation announcing the North Carolina Operation Lifesaver Week. As you well are aware, we had 3 incidents this summer. I cannot get into specifics about the incidents due to some pending litigation that I'm dealing with on one of them, but I will say that all 3 of those incidents were separate in nature, separate in circumstances, but nonetheless, I felt compelled to do something proactive on the educational side of railroad safety. So I had reached out to DOT earlier, a few weeks ago, and Amtrak and NC Railroad, which I have dealt with on all 3 incidents. They've all been at the scene as well as myself. We discussed railroad safety, and this is a way that we can do something more proactive to engage the public and put out education about this kind of event or these kind of situations. So tomorrow, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., weather permitting, we will be doing what is called an Operation Clear Track Crossing Blitz. We will be at 3 separate crossings in town. The one at Central Avenue and Main Street, the one at North Church Street, between First Street and Front Street, and the railroad crossing at North O'Neill at First Street. And we will have members of my department on site handing out educational materials, which is just as part of it that I had asked for some information earlier, to stop cars, to educate motorists on railroad safety and crossing tracks safely, and any pedestrians that may be in the area. It is calling for rain, and we will play it by ear. As long as it's not monsooning, we'll probably be out there. If it is, we'll probably reschedule a different date to do it because we want to reach as many people as we possibly can. So that will be tomorrow. We will be having a briefing at 8:30 at my office in the morning. You are invited to attend if you so wish, to discuss how we're going to do this and the information that's being given out. So just wanted you to be aware of it and kind of explain what this process is, and I will take any questions you may have.
Questions or comments for the chief?
Just comment. Chief, I just really appreciate you guys being proactive. You could have sat back and just said, you know, hey, this is one of those things that happened, but it just shows your leadership and trying to find a way to turn this into something that's going to be positive for a long-term basis. So again, just thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, sir.
I totally agree with Councilmember Sims, I think if it does nothing but make people more aware when they come up to a railroad track and get ready to cross it, this will be worth its weight in gold, because people need to really realize how dangerous it is to try to circumvent the track. And so hopefully this will, as I said, create an additional awareness of the danger of the tracks. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? I just want to add my sincerest appreciation for the good work in helping us figure out how to create more awareness around this topic. And it was truly my hope that this isn't just a one and done, that this could maybe turn into something that we do on an annual basis just to keep it at the forefront.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
All right. Jumping on down to staff reports, we begin with the town manager.
Mr. Mayor, actually, I think we have to do public comment first.
Oh. Here, let me re-put my glasses on. I'll now open, my apologies. I'll now open the floor for public comment. Anyone wish to speak, please step forward and state your name for the record. All right. No one wishing to speak. We'll jump on down to staff reports, beginning with the manager.
All right, just a couple of things tonight. One, again, thank you, Todd, for the great presentation of the budget book, and thank you all for your leadership and your support. That Clear to Love platform is really going to be a game changer for us. The budget book being this first big step that we're taking, and that transparency module coming soon. So we appreciate you letting us put the efforts towards that. Couple of things real quick. One, we talked about the library stuff a little bit earlier today, but I just did want to say a big thank you to our staff. The temporary library located down in 446 South Second or East Second Street, excuse me, has really been a blessing to us right now while the renovations are going on. The project is progressing as planned, but we really appreciate all the support that everybody has had with that temporary location. And then last but not least, just a quick update. We talked to you all a few months ago about some new security protocols we were implementing here at Town Hall. Those went for a I'll say soft implementation here over the last few weeks. Primarily, the main thing that we're trying to do is drive traffic for the invited public to come through the Horn Street parking lot side of the building so that we can have folks check in with our receptionists as well as obtain either a temporary badge if they're going to be here for certain reasons, or a sticker, excuse me, from the table out front identifying what part of the building that they intend to go to. That helps us as staff that work here to help direct them. This building can get a little bit confusing at times with all the multiple levels that we have. So far, so good. All of our staff have remembered to bring their badges every day, and so that is a big win for us as well. But we appreciate the overall public adhering to the new rules, and certainly look to continue to build on those in the future. Other than that, I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Town attorney? Thank you, sir. Town clerk?
No report.
Any other staff? Legend Park update, Chris?
Good evening, Mayor, member to council. So I'll give a quick update on Legend Park as a site as a whole. So when we talk about this, it's really comprised of 4 different efforts when we talk about Legend Park. So the first effort is really the site remediation. That's the part that the state is taking care of as part of the pre-regulatory landfill process. So that's the remediation of the site, from the dump itself. And it's broken into several phases. They have it broken down into. Obsolescence, that's another process that involves the NC State Parks, and it's really a town coordinated item. It's related to the Part F funding that before it was a baseball field, and it's really kind of making that obsolete, kind of winding that whole thing down. There's the roadway construction that is separate. That's something that the town is engaged in a contractor or developer to perform this work, and the developer's agreement is actually in process currently. And then there's the long-term use, what we're going to do with it in the long term. So we've engaged with Sage Design. They've done kind of our master planning for the Parks and Recreation, so they're going to determine the best use of it based off the land use restrictions. So in general, when the state, for their project, there's really 3 different phases. Phase 1 is mobilization, site prep, erosion measures, essentially just getting the site prepared for being able to do any serious excavation. That was completed. Phase 2 is the actual dealing with the waste itself, capping it off and doing a lot of earthwork. That has also been completed. So now we're in phase 3, which is really post-establishment. Once grass is all grown, which it was good in September, this month, then we're kind of removing the erosion measures. We're kind of going back and restoring the buffer kind of areas and such. And then there'll be waste markers and then as-built at the very end. Just a quick timeline, just kind of showing, I know there's a lot of history on this project, so I kind of started it just from last year. So the state bid it out in August. Then they had a contractor mobilize, and everything was awarded in October. They started they completed phase 1 in December, so they were ready to do their serious excavation and dealing with the waste. So that was completed 4 months later in April, and then we had the state come out in August and approved everything, that there was enough grass cover so that we could then start phase 3 and remove all the stuff. And so they're projecting about November, a couple more months for them to finish up everything on the state side. Then the obsolescence, so just kind of, again, lots of history on that, but I'll kind of start from the near history. So May, that's when we officially got a letter that was formally approved from the North Carolina Parks and Recreation, that they were accepting the application for that. So really our next steps are really just sending signed as-built drawings in, and that's it. That step is all wrapped up. Road construction, so that over the summer we've been kind of engaged with contractors for competitive proposals, reviewed them, determined a selection, prepared developers agreement, and entered negotiation of terms. So really the next step is just to finish the developers agreement, which is very close to being wrapped up, and then bring it as a council resolution for here, and then we can begin the work. The duration of the work is about 60 days of construction work. We are heading into winter / fall time, so there's going to be some rain, but the duration to be expected is around 60 days. Impacts to note on this is the Greenway Trail will be closed, so we have to construct the road. We have to remove the whole Greenway Trail and realign it, so the Greenway Trail will be closed during that time. And the new parking lot that was constructed won't be accessible to the public, just because that's the access to get to the parking lot. The long-term use, so Sage Design has prepared really the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, as I had mentioned, and that really accounted for all the different various needs. It didn't specify what went where, essentially. So that effort is ongoing. So the next step at part of this site is really for them to prepare the recommendation for the permanent use of that site, and there's going to be land use restrictions on it, so it's probably going to be more of a passive park, since we can't penetrate the ground at all. We can't have to leave that waste cap alone and all the fill on top of it. And then I just have a few images. This is from December, just kind of showing when they had all their erosion measures up, started really clearing, grubbing, and probably getting into excavation. And then you can see in February they had that cap on top of the landfill itself, and they were doing a lot of grading work. And then this was May, so this is at the end of the phase where they had everything stabilized or ready to be stabilized. Seed was down, matting was down, so it was just waiting for the grass to grow, essentially. Just a different angle of it, showing that sediment basin in the background. And this is this month, September, so you can see lots of green grass has grown on it, and it was approved by the state, so we can start removing all that black silt fence, that pile, there's a pile of dirt in the very back of the image, as well as that whole sediment basin in the back has to be removed because it's in the buffer area. Kind of a different angle of it from the back. And so as a summary, so really by the end of 2025, we would anticipate for the remediation, obsolescence, and the roadway construction to be completed. Access to the parking lot, roadway, and Greenway Trail would be reestablished to the public. And then we would anticipate more clarity on the options for the long-term use of the space by Sage Design. And that's all I had. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Questions or comments for Chris? All right. Thank you so much for the update.
Yep, no problem.
All right. I'll now turn it over to council for comments. Mr. Sims?
Yes, I don't normally actually do this or address this, but especially with everything that's going on the internet now and social media has become a vast thing where people just throw things out there that don't make any sense. But the Triangle Business Journal put an article out talking about the North Carolina green lights, which is talking about us, Clayton, $100 million project. And I had sent to me by several individuals, because they were talking about one particular individual that they say come to our council meeting constantly and says pretty decent things for the most part about us. So I was a little discouraged when this was sent to me, again, by several individuals, and it said, "Welcome to the transformation of a wonderful small southern town into another suburban wasteland. The town council is populated with apologists for the transformation. You get what you elect." So I just want to make a statement in the fact that the definition of an apologist is someone who says they're sorry about the decision that they make. Let me be very clear. I am not sorry for any decision that I make. I'm a 63-year-old man. I take responsibility for every decision that I have made up here. I have no means or will to destroy the town of Clayton. All my decisions have been based upon something I feel will be the best for it. The most positive thing in that statement is that you get what you elect, and I agree with that. But at the same time, we have to understand the damage that we cause when a particular person like myself has made myself available 10,000 times with any type of decision that a person feels that I've made unjust, and I would declare and sit down and have coffee. I actually own stock over in Boulevard Coffee Shop now. I've sat down with so many people. The internet and social media, which I use, is a fun thing, but it also can be damaging when you put certain things out there that's not true at all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Ms. Archer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your words, Mr. Sims. I just wanted to thank the town and the staff involved with the 9/11 remembrance event that we had. That was such a meaningful, touching event. I know some of you were not able to attend, but it would just stuck with me ever since that day that we sat there listening to those stories. And so I just really appreciate that you created that opportunity and that environment. It was very well thought out, very well done, very well executed, and I can't thank you enough.
Awesome. I agree. Anyone else?
I also want to say thank you to those that was able to go out to the first responders. That was a very well attended function as well. So we just want to say thank you to all those that participated in that. And I also want to say that I really appreciate the information given tonight about the budget book. I do appreciate it. And I think the glossary, that's what really interests me more than anything else. I look at those words and try to come up with some definitions. So I appreciate that so much. And on a personal note, I definitely appreciate what we're doing on Operation Lifesavers Rail Safety, because it's personal note. I had some family members that were killed a few years back in Cary with the railroad. So, this is very important to me, and I thank you for what we're doing here in Clayton. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You good? All right. All right. No other comments, then I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss a legal matter and to discuss purchasing of real property.
Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Please clear the room. All right, is there anything else that needs to come before this council? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good night.